Have you ever been trapped in a moment where the entire world seemed to stop, every eye glued to you, every breath heavy with judgment, and the only sound echoing around you was the cry of someone you loved? That was the scene mid-flight, 30,000 feet above ground, when the steady hum of the engines was shattered by the piercing scream of a boy, a sound so raw, so agonizing, that it silenced conversations, woke restless sleepers, and froze the cabin in tense discomfort. The boy's name was Ethan, a fragile 9-year-old with wide blue eyes that now brimmed with tears, his small hands pressing hard against his ears as though trying to block out an invisible storm, his body rocking back and forth in his seat, strapped in but desperate to break free, his sobs turning into screams that carried a rhythm of pain few could understand. Next to him sat his father, Jonathan Hale, a man whose face appeared in business magazines, whose sharp suits and sharper mind had built billion-dollar empires, whose signature alone could make or break industry. Yet now that same man sat trembling, powerless, whispering pleas into the ear of his son that seemed to vanish into the chaos. "It's okay, Ethan, Daddy's here, just breathe, just look at me." But Ethan could not, because the world was too loud, the lights too bright, the cabin too full of strange smells and sounds, and his mind, already fragile, spiraled into sensory overload. Around them, passengers muttered, some with irritation, others with thinly veiled sympathy. A man in a business class seat groaned, "This is going to be a long flight." A mother with the baby frowned, muttering, "Why can't he control his kid?" A flight attendant bent down with a forced smile, whispering, "Sir, maybe a toy or some headphones will help." But Jonathan had tried, oh how he had tried, with snacks, with headphones, with everything a desperate parent carries, but nothing worked. And so there he sat, one of the most powerful CEOs in America, reduced to tears, his heart breaking as he wished for one thing, not success, not money, but just peace for his son. And then, from the very back of the plane, someone moved. He was not dressed in a suit, not polished, not powerful in appearance. His clothes were simple, slightly worn, his shoulders broad, his hair messy, his eyes carrying a weight of stories unspoken. His name was Daniel Carter, a single dad who boarded this plane with nothing but a cheap backpack and the quiet resilience of a man who had been through battles no one else saw. He was invisible to most, just another passenger, until now when he stood up and walked slowly down the aisle, not with irritation, not with judgment, but with something else, understanding. As he approached the frantic boy and the helpless CEO, murmurs spread through the cabin. What is he doing? Who does he think he is? But Daniel ignored them. He had once been there himself, nights pacing the floor with his daughter in his arms as she screamed for hours, days of stares from strangers who thought he was a bad parent, years of learning that sometimes the only thing a child needed was someone who could step into their storm and simply be there. He crouched down, his voice soft, his movements gentle, and he whispered, not to Jonathan, not to the passengers, but directly to Ethan, "Hey, buddy, it's okay, I'm a broken bar, you're safe." The boy still screamed, rocking harder, his small fists clenched, but Daniel did not flinch. He reached slowly into his backpack and pulled out a small wooden toy, hand-carved, simple, imperfect. "I made this for my daughter once," he murmured, showing it to Ethan, not forcing it, just letting it exist in the boy's space. Ethan's cries faltered for half a second, his tear-streaked eyes flickering toward the toy. Daniel hummed, a soft tune, not a song anyone recognized, but rhythm, a calm, steady rhythm that somehow cut through the chaos. And then it happened. Slowly, Ethan's screams weakened, his sobs softened, his rocking slowed. His small hand, trembling, reached for the toy. The cabin, once filled with restless complaints, fell silent, and not out of irritation but awe. A CEO, a man known for power and control, sat frozen, watching a stranger do what he himself could not to calm his son. Jonathan's eyes filled with tears, his lips parting in disbelief, whispering, "How broken bar, how did you do that?" And Daniel, his voice low, said, "Because I've been there. My daughter broken bar, she's like him. You don't stop the storm, you step into it with them." Jonathan's chest ached, humbled in a way he had never been before. The man he had been, a cold, sharp, untouchable and boardrooms felt stripped away, replaced by a father who realized that sometimes strength wasn't about control but compassion. Around them, passengers shifted, ashamed of their earlier judgments, some even wiping tears as they watched the miracle unfold. The flight attendants glanced at each other, stunned, their practiced smiles breaking into something genuine. Ethan now clutched the toy, his breaths uneven but calmer, his cries replaced by small whimpers as he nestled into his father's side, finally letting himself rest. Jonathan looked at Daniel, truly seeing him for the first time be not just a man in worn clothes, not just another passenger, but someone extraordinary, someone who carried a wisdom no wealth could buy. And yet, Daniel simply smiled, nodded, and quietly returned to his seat, as though he had done nothing remarkable at all. But Jonathan knew, the cabin knew, something extraordinary had just happened, something that would forever change the way he saw the world. And as the flight continued, the CEO sat in silence, his son finally asleep against his chest, his mind racing with thoughts, questions, and an unfamiliar gratitude toward the stranger who had just performed a miracle 30,000 feet above the ground. A broken bar,